I was fast asleep and I got woken up. So now I'm sitting here waiting to see why I've been woken up, because I only get woken up when something's about to happen or when I have to do something. So I've been causing a little bit of trouble on social media as usual. Well, speaking the truth, dropping truth bombs, and I'm just sitting here waiting to see why I got woken up. Um, I had a dream. Oh my god, I can't even. I had the weirdest dream. I can't even. I don't even know. I had a dream that I was at the Kremlin and I walked into this room that was like, there was about maybe 8 or 9 kids there with some parents standing around. And as soon as I walked into the room, it was like I put on this big act of acting like I was like a little bit distressed, but that I needed the kids' help with something, but I had to reveal a secret first. But they have to keep it a secret because I needed their help with something. And the kids were like, all concerned in that. And then I took off like this shawl. It was like a shawl, like a silky shawl thing. And I had these wings on. These really beautiful wings. They like, I don't know if it was some. I mean, it didn't feel mechanical, but I know that when I took the shawl off, these wings behind me sprung out, and the kids like gasped. And I was like, but we need to keep it a secret because there's a mole in the Kremlin, and he's trying to catch me out. He wants to catch me and keep me in a jar. And I need your help to help me keep an eye on him because he's a threat to the president, and I'm here to protect the president. I'm the president's fairy godmother, and like I'm watching over him, but nobody can know that I'm a fairy. And adults can't see my wings, only children can, and I need them to help me get to a certain part of the building where I have to find something. I don't know what it was. I mean, yeah. and the and when I was telling them what I had to do, I wasn't. I didn't know what I was looking for. So I wasn't saying to them I needed to find a key or I needed to find like a phone or a person or something like that. I was like, you need to help me get to like this room. We had to go to a particular part, but the only way we could do it is if the kids were invisible. And I said, you have to blow these bubbles, and when you blow the bubble, no adult can see you. Only I'll be able to see you. And it was like it's like everybody was in on it but the kids. It's like everybody knew the second I entered that room and left with the kids, they were to go along with everything that we were doing. So the kids were lined up blowing these bubbles. And in my dream, I remember thinking, oh my God, I've got those bubbles. I actually invented a biorhythmic bubbles for kids. So that my intention was to take them to my observatory because I want to build an observatory for my North Star cadets and that because obviously I want to have a space program in that. So I've got these bubbles that I invented. They're sitting over on my altar because that's where I keep everything while I'm blessing them, and because I am an ordained minister, by the way. Um, so yeah, I've actually got the bubbles, and I've given the bubbles to children. I invented them so that when kids blow in the bubbles, it takes their fear or their sadness away, and they can put what they're feeling into the bubble, and then the bubble floats up. And Brahena Saithusa, the Grand Emperor's fairy godmother, the North Star dragon, she takes their bubbles because you know how dragons hold the globes. Well, in this story, she takes the kids' bubbles. She holds on to them. She holds on to their fears and their troubles and that. So when the kids blow into the bubble, it's kind of like therapy for them. But in my dream, when they were blowing through the bubble, they were turning invisible. And like everybody, when we walked out of the room, it's like everybody knew, just pretend you can't see Debbie and the kids. And it was so cool. The kids were having so much fun, and we were going up against walls and like going around the back of pot plants and furniture and all of that. And I was playing tricks on the staff, and they were pretending to be scared and that, and the kids were having a giggle. And then we got on our hands and knees and we crawled past Vladimir Putin sitting at this desk, and we kind of snuck through a door and all of that. And then when we got to the room, it was a dark room, and then we had to find something. And I don't know if it was like a scroll or I don't know. I'm not quite sure what it was though. That's the thing. It may have been paper. It may have been a scroll. It may have been something in a frame. I don't know. That's the bit that I can't remember. And we took it and put it on Vladimir Putin's desk, and he pretended like it came out of nowhere. Like I sent one of the kids to go and put it on his desk and that. So then he's like, oh, where did this come from? And then he reads it, and it's like he's inadvertently casting a spell that reveals who the mole is. And in the dream, the mole was literally like a man in a suit, but he was literally like his makeup was done like a mole. Nobody else could see that he was a mole other than me, the fairy, and the kids. And then everyone's like, "Oh my god!" And then he gets arrested and blah blah blah. And then at the end of it, after when it was all said and done, Vladimir Putin came out and gave the kids bravery medals that were golden wings. And the Golden Wings program was actually a program that my boys and I came up with for children who are in public, wherever they see someone or see a pair of golden wings, like in a shop and that, they know that it's a safe person to go to say, I need help. So the Golden Wings program, like my boys and I came up with that whole thing. We wanted it to be like a whole nationwide, like stranger danger kind of thing. But like if you see a pair of golden wings, you can go in and say to the people, like, I need help, and all the staff will be trained to know what to do in any given situation. So yeah, so he was handing them out these golden wings, and it was like keep it a secret that I'm a fairy. Like wink, there's a special wink. If you do the special wink, then it means it's like your secret is safe with me, or we're in this together to protect the fairy godmother. Like that's what it was like. And then I woke up and I was like, what the hell did I just dream? I don't even know if that was like if I was seeing the future, if I was writing a story. Because if that was a dream, that was one hell of an elaborate dream. Do you know what I mean? It was like, who dreams that sort of stuff? Yo, what we doing? I'm just talking about a dream I had, and why I got woken up from a deep sleep. Because with me, whenever I get woken up from a deep sleep, there's always a reason. I'm always being asked to do something. Maybe it was to just document my dream. The dream was, I don't even know what to say. It was so surreal. But it's the fact that I have these bubbles, and I've never been able to come up with a name for these bubbles. But I am going to sell these bubbles, and I want to do a whole thing for the kids that come to my observatory, especially the ones that we rescue from being human trafficked and that. They'll be able to roam anywhere in the grounds and that, but I want to You know, I want to introduce kids to the stars. And of course, my real star, I have a real star in the Cepheus constellation called the Star of Brihenus. Yeah, that's in the Cepheus constellation. My niece Amber, now that she's crossed over, she's got her star, the Amber Diamond, in the Cygnus constellation and that. And because I want to invest in a space program, uh, I want to combine the observatory with the space program and the whole North Star cadets, and you know, have kids come and stay at the camp and that when we're working on my little space navigation system, if I, you know, am lucky enough to get that far into my future plans. Um, but in the very least, we can have a roof with a telescope and, you know, a really good telescope and point them out, and then these kids who have met the fairy, they can look through the telescope and be like, oh my God, that's where she lives. That's the star she lives on. Because I've got my coordinates and everything. So they'll be able to look through it and go, that's the fairy we saw. Like, that's her star that she lives on. Oh my God. And then, like, it just builds this whole wonderland. So that's why I got woken up. I was supposed to document this dream so that I could. But my bubbles are real, and I will be selling my bubbles. They're sitting over there. I'm looking straight at them. So the dream might have been to say, remember the bubbles for the kids. They're great for kids that are sad or lonely, or they need to get their feelings out but can't express them. It's a special formula. I worked on it for the longest time. Like, I worked on this formula probably for about 8-9 months, and infused it into the bubble formula. And yeah, and it sits and it's just percolating right now. So, but yeah, I have sent samples out. So yeah, because I have a lot of test subjects for my candles and my candle. Oh my God, my candles cause so much trouble. I'm just going to have a sip of my coffee. My candles, when I light them, the exorcism one, the one that exorcises your demons, the one that, you know, sweeps your path of all the toxicity in that, and yeah, gets all the skeletons out of the closet. That one has just caused so much trouble. And the law and order one as well, the one that you light straight after that one. Oh my God. Yeah, there's a lot of people falling now because of that candle. I'm going to have to, my candles are going to have to be sold with a disclaimer. Some of my candles, like if I have to make them for an individual, like, you know, a bespoke one to, for an individual rather than, you know, just one that anyone can buy off the shelf, they're probably going to have to sign like a legal thing to say what happens after this once you light it. Like, even I don't know what's going to happen. That's between you and God. So you can't hold me responsible. The Beacon of Light Candle Company. My youngest came up with that name. I got so many cool products that are of the occult variety that has nothing to do with witchcraft and everything to do with science, physics, and alchemy, which is probably the more correct term for witchcraft, because the word witch just means wise. And that's what people don't understand. Witchcraft basically means wise craft, um, intelligent craft, because witches back in the day, and here in the north of England, they were called cunning men and cunning women. Cunning meaning clever, knowing what to do, like, oh, you're cunning with nature, wise with nature. And it was the church that defiled their name and turned everything that had been handed down from our grandmothers and grandfathers about living on the land and using the land to heal, and that got turned into something dark and dirty. And so, as an Indigenous person who was taught to live off the land and being Egyptian as well, I was taught all of this stuff by the women in my family, which is why my skincare products, and that I'm 53 in 8 days, and people keep thinking I'm in my 30s. I have boys that are like 18, 19 years old trying to hit on me, and I'm like, ew, you're only 2 years older than my son. Like, oh, sort of thing. But it's good advertising for my products because when I open my store, the Alchemist Cavern, like you'll be able to come and buy my skincare range, and I've actually just been working on a unisex body spray. Everything's chemical free and organic, and all of it, every single bit of it comes from Papatūānuku or Mother Earth, Gaia, whatever you want to call her, Mother Nature, whatever you want to call her. I don't know what you call her, but yeah, just I worked on a unisex one. It's like a little bit kind of musky and spicy for a woman, but smouldering and alluring for a man to wear. The way that I balanced out the alchemy in it when I was putting the formula together, I absolutely love it. And unfortunately, because I've been tortured by the NHS for defending Vladimir Putin and that, my stomach took a lot of damage. You hear my throat go out all the time. That's because when I was forced to medicate for being Indigenous, I was going into anaphylactic shock every time I had to take the tablets. And I vomited so much for so long, for like months on end, that it damaged my vocal cords and my gut as well. So I get a lot of stomach pain because I was vomiting so much that I split some surgical scars in my stomach from hernia repair surgery open, and my C-section scars split open as well because of the vomiting and heaving, and my skin started, like I started falling, my guts was falling out, like I was starting to, like my inside tissue was starting to come out of where the scars had split open. And then I was left for nearly 3 months with a chronic infection. I kept asking for medical help, and I wasn't getting any medical help. On top of which, as well, I was being starved. So yeah, the NHS. I was tortured by the NHS because I defended Vladimir Putin and Russia because I knew that they were being accused of things they weren't responsible for. And as I keep saying, I can't not speak the truth. And when I see an injustice, when I see something, I say something. Because you have to, it's the right thing to do. And I don't want to die with a guilty conscience of anything, thinking, I wish I had said something, I wish I had spoken up when that happened, or I wish I had done that, because I want to die with a clear conscience. And as someone, as I'm a death angel, and as a mighty person, my sister and I, we're both death angels. She sits with people who are dying in palliative care, whereas I prepare people for their death. Um, we both help people go into the afterlife, but she does it while they're dying, and I do it before they're dying. So I prepare people for what life is going to be like after they die, depending on their karmic scale, basically, to give them time to get some things off their chest and dump some baggage in that, so that when their time does come, it's smooth sailing, that they're not standing on those scales of judgment for too long. So I help people clear their conscience and pay off karmic debt and all that before they cross over. So I sit with a lot of people who are dying as well, but they seek me out. They come to me, and then they get things off their chest, and then I'll talk to them and I'll explain. Like I'll say to them, this is probably what's going to happen, or you've got nothing to worry about. The last I'll tell you about Doug. He was in, oh God, I'm trying to remember now. I'm so sorry. His real name isn't Doug. I just give Doug the name to everyone. I think he was in Korea. I think it wasn't Vietnam. I'm pretty sure it was Korea. I'm having a hard time remembering the past because my ex-husband drugged me for so long. I'm having to put the puzzle pieces together to remember as much. I'm remembering more of my childhood than the last 25 years with my ex-husband. He's the whole reason why I was put through all of this. Um, he was scared that because he'd killed people in Korea when he died, I was contacted by his nurse who was a fan of mine on my WordPress, and she came to me and asked for my help because he was afraid to die and she didn't know what to say, and he was seeing things in the mirror of his room in his retirement room. You know, he lived in like a retirement place, and he kept seeing things in the room and he thought he was being haunted. And he was too scared to die. He was terrified because he thought it meant that he was going to hell, that he was going to get into trouble. So she contacted me and she said, is there anything you can tell me to say to him, and blah, blah, blah. So I asked him some questions. He gave me the answers. And then I just said to him, you've got nothing to worry about. And I actually spoke about this to, um, when this is all uploaded in there, I'll put a link in the description box of this video, because this is going to help a lot of veterans. I think this will be why I was woken up. If you're a veteran out there, I just want to say something to you guys. You are not. If you were used as a weapon of war to play a dirty game of corruption, you're not responsible for having to fight for your life. If when you went into it, you believed wholeheartedly that what you were going into was for the greater good, you have nothing to worry about when you die. If you know how you hear some of these stories about these whack jobs that go around cutting off their fingers, and that's a completely different story. But if you're a general grunt or whatever, you know, like you're in the service or law enforcement and you're just going out doing your job, 100% wholeheartedly believing I'm doing this for God and I'm doing this for my country, you have absolutely nothing to worry about when you die, even if you killed people. Because wars are fought for lessons to be learned, and the more wars we fight, it means the faster we descend. We're going backwards. We're supposed to be getting to a point where war is no longer an option. We discuss everything in a boardroom. Clever minds fight wars in boardrooms, not on battlefields. Warmongers, the bloodthirsty, the ones where it's all about money, 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 money. America, for example. You know, like it's all about making the money. War is money. War is profit. Um, if you've been dragged into it, literally, Ukraine, if you've been dragged into war, that just gets me emotional every time I hear about that stuff. The Ukrainians getting dragged into war, like literally dragged, kicking and screaming. When it's getting to the point where Ukrainian mothers are going to Vladimir Putin begging him to take Zelensky out because they can't do this anymore, that's when you know you got to look at that story and think, hang on, but I thought Putin was the bad guy. Because people just, you got to think logically here. So yeah, when you've been dragged into war, when you've been forced into war, when you've been taken from your life and thrown into hell, that you didn't ask to be a part of, or you're going into it thinking 100% this is the right thing to do for my country and my God, then when you die, you have absolutely nothing to fear, even if you had to kill people to do it, because you were put basically in a gladiator situation of kill or be killed. ideally speaking, all of you, without people like von der Leyen and NATO and the EU and Trump and all of that, poking the bear, so to speak, literally poking the Russian bear, you'd all probably be drinking a beer down at the pub together. So I had to work with a lot of veterans and a lot of servicemen, mostly from America, from like the Army, the Air Force, a little bit of the Marines, not so much Navy, Coast Guard, Border Patrol, cops, a couple of CIA, for PTSD and that, because they were experiencing paranormal activity and thinking that they were possessed and had demons in their head, because these people were being forced into situations where they were witnessing like human sacrifice and child sacrifice and all of that, and it was messing with their heads and creating paranormal activity. So I've been working with veterans and that for a long time. My own father was in the New Zealand Royal Engineers for over 34 years, and he was very proud to serve his Queen and his country. And when he died, I got his badge and all of his medals, and Sergeant Major George Edward Patrick Callaghan of 25 Support, New Zealand Royal Engineers. That was my daddy, and I created a charity for him, the George Callaghan Trust, so that these products that I've been working on, my Men of Valor range, I've got a Women of Valor range as well, which is what I was talking about with this unisex spray. Um, Gross. I'm fussy, not frustrated, mate. Yeah, so I've got a whole Men of Valor range, and Women of Valor range, and I've got this spray bottle that I've been working on. It's a unisex range, so I'm very proud of it, and it's part of my Men of Valor range. And all the money will be going towards helping veterans. I had always promised myself that the country where I built my foundation, I would give all the first job options to veterans of law enforcement and like first responders and veterans and all that. And then we're going to also give them an option of being buried in our graveyard, because I want to have a graveyard, because the only thing is, if they get buried in our graveyard, we'll pay for their funeral and everything. Their headstones, like, we'll give them a place to be buried, but they have to agree to be in our Halloween festivals and any Halloween movies that we make, any movies in that we make. So they'll be famous dead actors, and if they don't want their names on the headstone, and that, will cover them up. But yeah, they will be in anything that the kids make on camera. So, and I want to have like my whole haunted house. The Amber Wilkinson School of Witchcraft is going to be like a big old haunted house, and when it's not being used for Halloween, the Amber Wilkinson School of Witchcraft is going to be teaching witchcraft. Well, I hate using the word witchcraft because it's people just misunderstand what that word is. But this is why I'm here. I'm trying to teach people. So when I do a good enough job, people are going to figure it out. But my niece that just passed away, my best friend, she was like my partner in crime. She was my little sister. She was just my everything. There was only 8 years difference between us, and yeah, she just crossed over a month ago. And her name was Amber Wilkinson. She's the one who's got the amber diamond up in the Cygnus constellation now. She's getting the school name, that she was nuts for Harry Potter. So she thought it was cool that her auntie was like real life Harry Potter. So I'm naming the school after her. And yeah, we're gonna teach all the stuff that I used to teach back in the day, before my students all turned psychopathic, and yeah, turn it into a whole tourism fundraising thing. It'll be invitation only to the school if you want to learn. I'll get some teachers on board. I've been keeping an eye out for some people on YouTube that I want to invite to maybe come and give some classes in there, and turn it into a whole tourism thing, because the best way to teach people is to show people that there's a right way and a wrong way to deal with the occult, whether it's the occult paranormal or the occult supernatural. But if I can show you the proper way to do it, if I can show you the real way to do it, then that's automatically going to remove probably a good 60% of paranormal activity off the planet, because we fear what we don't understand, and fear creates paranormal activity. So, yeah, so I've got my bubbles, I've got my spray, I've got loads of things. I've got candles, candle melts, oils. I want to start working on, when I've got the space to do it, incense. I've got my tane clay. I've got a whole pile of products and pouches and all of that for all different kinds of things that I'm going to be selling at the Alchemist Cavern. Cosmetics, all of my cosmetics are biorhythmic. So I have like lip gloss and eyeshadow that you can put on that is actually talismanic. Like, it's a talisman. It will protect you. So if you're a woman and you're out wearing my makeup, you'll be protected. You'll be less likely to become a target for being approached by people, because it's biorhythmic. You'll give off a certain frequency, a certain energy that will let people know, back off, like a little shield. I haven't trialled it yet though. I need volunteers to trial my cosmetics before I would ever put it out there with that claim. And if I'm wrong, I mean, I'll keep tweaking the biorhythmics in it until I get it right. But if I can put it in my spray and it works on my spray, then it should be fine for my cosmetics. But for anyone who wears my cosmetics and uses my spray in there, it's like a energetic shield that would, if I've done it right, make you less susceptible to be targets for, like muggings or assault or abuse, or, anyone creepy coming near you, because you'll give off like a vibration of back off. So, yeah, like I keep saying, if I'm going to be in competition with people, like if I've got to be in the cosmetics industry, I'm going to stand out. And so, yeah, I've kind of taken my cloak off and, like, this is me, this is who I really am. If you don't like it, too bad. You don't have to be involved. But if you do, here's where the money's going. And in this case, it's going to veterans and children. So, yeah. As if that person ever thought they could have a chance with me. They probably wouldn't even know what to do with a woman like me. Bloody hell. Oh, if he knew who my Arab ancestors were, he wouldn't be speaking to me like that. What an idiot. House of Al Rashid, mate. That's me. We'll just let Allah deal with that. Anyhow, so that's obviously why I got woken up, I think. Fits in nicely to people still dealing with Halloween. It's the 1st of November here now. It's my birthday in 8 days. God. I feel like I literally feel like I've been reborn. I feel like I'm in college, to be honest. I keep saying that. This time that I've been sitting here waiting for justice, allowing my body to heal, because I was starved. Like, I was going like anywhere up to 5 days without being fed food when I got locked up. The damage it did to my stomach, and that my heart almost gave out. And it was only because one of the girls that I was locked up with, when she got out, started sending me kebabs, that I'm even alive today. Kebabs kept me alive. It got to the point where there were nurses and staff in the hospital that were like threatening the hospital with a mutiny if they didn't do something about feeding me. And then I think what happened was, see, they took my phone off me. My ex-husband told them a lie. They took my phone off me for nearly like 7, 8 weeks. So I had no contact with anyone outside of using the payphone. And my sister had to threaten them with legal action because I was denied access to my children, lawyers, like the New Zealand consulate, all of it. And yeah, everyone turned their back. Well, it sounds like you're crazy. So, if you've been sectioned, you must be crazy. Like, we can't help you if you're crazy, was pretty much it. Um, Apart from the New Zealand consulate who gave me a list of pro bono lawyers. But I had no way to access them because they took my phone off me. And my sister was terrified. She didn't know if they'd killed me or not. She was beside herself, which is why I said when this is over and I get my lawsuit money, I'm going to retire my sister because she was put through hell because of my ex-husband. He asked her for nude photographs. The father of my children, my own ex-husband, the one who tried to kill me, asked my sister for nude photographs. She's going to stand up in court and testify. She's got the conversation that she had with our other sister where she was saying, oh my God, because she blocked him. So then she was like, I blocked him before I took screenshots. But I've got the conversation that I had with our other sister where I'm saying, you're not going to believe what Chris has done. So after he lied and got me locked up and then tried to steal my books and my products and that out from under me, but selling them as like pagan oils and that instead of indigenous healing oils, my honey of Isis oils, I call them, I was basically locked up because they decided that being indigenous was a mental illness and that my physics, because they couldn't understand it, there had to be something wrong with me. And so treating me like that made me dig my heels in, and I started taking notes and doing investigations and keeping reports and documenting things and then putting enough stuff out there that I eventually drew the king into the conversation, and Vladimir Putin and even like Donald Trump and that, and then the whole thing these codes just came falling through that ended up predicting everything that's happening in Great Britain and America and Russia and like the world right now, to the point now where people are terrified of me because they've started to realise, holy shit, she was telling the truth the whole time. And so there's all these little things that have started happening where it's like people are backing off and being like a little bit nicer, and like I'm getting reprieved from things, and people are, people are getting nervous now because they're realising she was telling the truth and we got involved in that, and we tried to stop her and we failed. And everything she's saying is coming true, which means that if she's bringing people like Starmer and Musk and Donald Trump down, we're next. And they are next. People like Obama and Clinton and that. I said that when Trump goes, they all fall. Democrats, Republicans, Commonwealth leaders, EU leaders, they all fall when he falls. And he's starting to fall now. So when this is over, I can do my bit for the veterans who got forced into suffering the most severe cases of PTSD. I've dealt with women who have come to me whose husband killed himself and their children out of spite, who dealt with their PTSD better than some of these veterans because of, and the serving soldiers, because of the things that they had to see, the things that they were forced to endure. And the one thing I can't stand is a man who cries. Like, that's my kryptonite. I just, As a woman, seeing a man cry, when a man gets to a point where he's crying, you know he's broken. And as a woman, I can't see men be broken because we need our men to, keep the home fires burning and, protecting their own boundaries, let alone the country's boundaries and other countries' boundaries and that. So when a man is broken and he can no longer protect his own front door because of what's going on in his head, that's when you got to start calling these leaders out and saying enough is enough. Like, stop it. Talk it out in boardrooms, not battlefields. This isn't our, why should millions of people die? Why should millions of people suffer because two people can't talk it out in a boardroom? Because that's pretty much what it is. And then you have all the jekylls and hyenas poking them saying, but then we can charge like $1,200 for a bullet. But then we can make money by charging $50 for a KFC when we set up a tent on the battlefield. Like, that's what it is. And so all that innocence, all that bloodshed gets soaked up by the planet. And then it comes back in full force as natural disasters and mass insanity, because we reflect what we absorb, and all atoms absorb energy and reflect it back. All atoms. So if you look at everything that is atomic in this universe and it's soaked up tens of thousands of years of bloodshed and hate and disease and famine and torture and suffering and death and destruction, this is why we're all screwed up today. But I'm going to be the little beacon. I'm the lighthouse. Follow me, come to me, and I'm going to show you what to do. And if enough of us get together and do it right, for the right reason, because I'll only let people invest in helping me build. I'll only let people invest in what I'm building if they're doing it for the right reason, and not because they know it's going to make them money, but because they know it's going to help the most vulnerable people in the world, and they will just happen to make money because of it. But that's not why they're going to be doing it. Because they believe the children are the future. And, veterans deserve not to be treated like crap. So, yeah, so if my throat ever gives out, you know why. And if I'm ever quiet and I keep saying I have to sleep because I'm in pain, because I'm allergic to everything and I can't afford to be swallowing anything that's going to make me vomit anymore because of the damage that my stomach took. So I have to rely on natural products, if you know what I mean. And it's illegal here in the UK unless I sign up to the medical marijuana, but they need access to my NHS records, and until my name is cleared, I refuse to let anyone near my medical records, because I'm not going to have my indigeny marked as a mental illness on any of my medical records. I'm standing up for Indigenous people. I'm fighting for justice. I will not back down until my name is cleared, until I get an apology, and until I get compensation. And I have a number in my head, and if they don't meet that number, I'm quite happy to just keep talking until this spreads far enough that it becomes like an international incident. And the one lawyer that I was able to get help from, she said, when this goes to court, you will win this. But she said it will be the trial of the century, because it's going to involve like American political leaders, British political leaders, the New Zealand government, the media, judges, lawyers, the West Yorkshire Police, the NHS, the United States Air Force, the United States Army, the FBI. Like, these are all, Santaro. These are all people, Sumo Digital, that are going to get dragged into court. So it's going to be like the trial of the century, because they came up against one woman, and forced her to have to defend her indigeneity and her right to connect with God, which in the UK, under the Equality Act and the Indigenous Rights Act, which is protected by the Geneva Convention, it's against the law to force someone to prove who they are or judge them for their indigeneity and their faith. And they not only did that with me, they judged it to be worthy of torture. And I was starved, and they knew I was being starved, because they were constantly telling me about the reports that were being written up about is she still not being fed. Nobody thought to just like go out and buy me a loaf of bread and, cook me up a feed. Nobody thought to just do that off their own back. They had to file out paperwork. Why is she still not being fed? I'd turn up to the cafeteria, sorry, we haven't got anything for you today again, 5 days in a row sometimes, and I was there for months. I was so sick, my kidneys were starting to pack out. I got like this rash all over my skin. And then, of course, where my scars and that split open, it got all infected, and I was rotting. I was literally rotting. I stunk of rot. And I had to heal it myself, because my army dad told me once, pour salt into the wound. If you ever, like when he was teaching us about like bush survival and all of that, I used to ask him all sorts of questions. But yeah, for like bullet wounds, and if you don't have antiseptic and all of that, pour salt into it, because it's antiseptic and it'll keep bacteria away. So I used to have to steal salt pouches from the cafeteria where I was locked up, and then I'd go into the shower and wash it all out with hot water, and then lay down on the bed and roll the blanket up to grit in between my teeth, and then pour salt into the wound. And the pain, I am telling you now, it would take me 2 hours to stop my back from arching, because I'd have to bite down on the blanket and like the sides of the mattress, because it just burnt so bad. Oh my God, it was just so painful. And I'd just like scream and bite down on the blanket, and it would take like nearly 2 hours for me to unarch my back before I could even stand. It was so painful, but I just keep thinking that's what they did on the battlefield. Or because I defended Russia and Vladimir Putin. And at the time I thought Donald Trump, but then I found out he was in on the whole bloody thing. So now I'm taking him down too. Doing it through Epstein. Because this whole Epstein thing with him came about because I started pushing it on social media. And using my physics, because I thought, you're going to do that to me, little boy? You think you're the one in charge of all of this? I don't think so. So, you don't know my dad. So, yeah, I had always said when I was locked up, I've got videos standing outside just before I'm about to go into anaphylactic shock again. I've even got videos of me just about to start vomiting, because I recorded everything, which is the real reason why they took the phone off me. They knew they'd messed up, because it suddenly went from me being locked up and sectioned and that to for being crazy to the only reason why we've got you here is because we can't let you go back to him. They knew they messed up, but they didn't think. I told them I'd play the game until I got out, and then I wouldn't stop until I got justice. And I'd be taking every single one of them down. I said I used to swallow that pill, and I used to pump my fist in the air and say, a mil per pill. And they used to laugh at me and go, oh, she's crazy, because you say I'm going to get £1 million for every pill you force me to swallow. A mil per pill, I used to say, and then I'd have to go back to my room and lay down and wait for the anaphylaxis to hit, and then I'd start vomiting and not being able to breathe because my throat was closing up, and scars would split open more, and I'd have pus oozing out of my stomach. I'd have salt dripping out like down the side, being held together by toilet paper, to catch up all the pus and that was oozing out of me, because the British decided and America decided that my physics was a mental illness, when in actual fact it was because I was figuring out that they were trafficking children. Keir Starmer is on the Epstein list. Ed Balls is on the Epstein list. Yvette Cooper is on the Epstein list. Lord Alley is on the Epstein list. Tony Blair, Peter Mandelson, all friends of Epstein. Ursula von der Leyen, Klaus Schwab, all on the Epstein list. Mark Carney, all on the Epstein list. All the people who conspired against the monarchy and me and Vladimir Putin, all on the Epstein list. And this thing with Prince Andrew, what he did, he's paying the price for, but he's not the pedophile that they're making out he is. They're sacrificing him to draw attention away from Donald Trump. And I told the king that I saw everything that's happening right now, I saw it coming. Because they're trying to get rid of the monarchy and that. And I was telling the truth the whole time, and now people have realised I'm telling the truth and they're panicking. Because they know that Nuremberg's going to come calling. They know that the next thing coming for them, like the Obamas and the Clintons and the Trumps and all of that, is Nuremberg, von der Leyen, Ardern, Trudeau, all of them, for COVID, for the genocide in Gaza, for what they're doing to Russia. Absolutely 100% victimised Russia for no other reason than he was starting to speak out about the banking system. He was letting people know that they were forcing people to eat human meat. He was letting people know about the organ harvesting and the human trafficking. And when he tried to step in to do something about it, they turned around and said, no, it was him that did it. And when I looked into it, doing my investigations for God, on behalf of God, I was like, no, hang on a minute. There's something, no, that's not true. So then when I started speaking out, that's when they came for me. And next thing you know, I've got police officers blatantly lying on these police forms that the doctors believed that they then persecuted me for. They upped my medication simply because I put feathers in my hair, which as an Indigenous person is my right to connect to my ancestors through feathers. They're our gods. To us, birds are gods, or the voice of God. So when we have our feathers, we're connecting directly to God. As an Indigenous person, that's my right to do that, and they took that away from me. So I was like, no, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to play your game and take your medication to feed your ego because you know nothing about Indigenous people, you racist assholes. So now, yeah, so there's a lot of world leaders, there's a lot of billionaires and millionaires and people who run companies and countries and all of that, and in the police force and law enforcement and that are acting very, 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 very nervous now because the right people have started listening. And because everything I'm saying is coming true, the next part of this is that you're going to start seeing all these world leaders and all these rich and powerful people being gathered up and sent to The Hague for multiple different crimes and trials. There's people like von der Leyen and Bill Gates and that are going to be done for multiple things to do with multiple activities that are going on in the world. You know, like COVID, genocide, pandemics, the floods, you know, the natural disasters, using HARP and all of that. It's like they're going to have multiple things thrown at them where the only course of action will be to lock them up for life or put them out of their misery and do the world a favour. And I know where it goes with von der Leyen. She gets dragged kicking and screaming, like handcuffed and everything, dragged kicking and screaming to the gallows because she couldn't leave Russia alone. She hides the fact that she's, the coalition of the willing. It's literally the coalition of the Epsteiners. All of these people are on the Epstein list. All of these people are connected to Israel. So we're fighting a holy war, and I know I'm on God's side. And so at the moment, the world is having to decide whose side are you on, Israel's or Russia's. There's no other two sides. You're either on the side of Molech or you're on the side of God. And that's Israel's got nothing to do with Jew. I have to put that out there. Talking about Israel. Um, there's good and bad in everyone. There's good Jews, there's bad Jews, there's good Muslims, there's bad Muslims, there's good Christians, there's bad Christians. You can't blame, you have to blame the individual. And I'm talking about Netanyahu. And every single person on the planet knows that he is as evil as it comes next to Donald Trump. So, Gog and Magog. We've got Gog and Magog. Mega are Magog. Gog and Magog. So, it's Megagog. Magog. Right, so I'm going to go now and have another coffee. But, obviously I was meant to put this out. So what will happen is I'll have my coffee and then I'll pass out and go back to sleep probably. So, yeah, there's a whole lot coming for the world, and it's not bad for us, it's bad for them. We get a whole new world. And as we shoot across the sky, they fade into the ground. They get soaked up by the underworld. They get soaked up by the darkness. And while we live heaven on earth, they will live hell on earth, because atoms always split in two. An atom is always split in two. You have, the positive and the negative in every atom. And we're stepping into the new. And then I can show people how to do all of this properly. And then they won't be accruing karmic debt. And they won't be getting haunted by things and paralysed by fear and getting stuck into their heads, which means that the mental health industry will only be for people who genuinely, truly need it or deserve it. Because there are some people there that, trust me, they need to be in there. But there's always a cause for it. There's always a reason why people lose their mind. It's just they decided that being Māori was me losing my mind, and I was not going to stand for that at all. Don't tell me being Indigenous is something to be ashamed of, because I ain't going to do it. And bear in mind, Indigeny doesn't just mean brown skin. You're Indigenous Irish. My people were Indigenous Irish. We were some of the first settlers in Ireland, the Callahans. So, yeah, the Icelandics, the Greenlandiers, the Norwegians, and they all have their Indigenous. Russians have Indigenous. So, Chinese have Indigenous. So, yeah, Indigeny isn't just, to do with First Nations like Mesoamerican and Polynesian. So, yeah, we're all in it together. We have to be. Because there's more of us than there are of them. And I can cause a lot of trouble just by pointing my finger. Which is why they're all getting nervous. Because anyway. So, I'm going to go now. And I shall speak to you later. This was interesting to say the least. Make another coffee and then pass back out again. I'll speak to you later. God save the king. Love you, lady. Mwah.